The Antigonish Library presents Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time there was a poor widow who had an only son named Jack and a cow named Milky White. And all they had to live on was the milk the cow gave each morning, which they carried to the market and sold. But one morning Milky White gave no milk, and they didn't know what to do.
What shall we do? What shall we do?
Cheer up, Mother. I'll go and get work somewhere.
We've tried that before, and nobody would take you. We must sell Milky White, and with the money start a shop or something.
All right, Mother. It's market day today, and I'll soon sell Milky White, and then we'll see what we can do.
So he took the cow's halter in his hand, and off he started. He hadn't gone far when he met a funny-looking old man, who said to him,
"Good morning, Jack."
Good morning to you.
"Well, Jack, and where are you off to?"
I'm going to the market to sell our cow here.
"Well, I would be willing to buy your cow, and I will make it worth your while. I will make a swap with you. Your cow for these beans."
Are you kidding? No way.
"You don't know what these beans are. They are magic. If you plant them overnight, by morning they grow right up to the sky."
Really? That's amazing.
"Yes, and if it doesn't turn out to be true, you can have your cow back."
It's a deal.
Jack handed him over Milky White's halter and pocketed the beans. Back goes Jack home, and as he hadn't gone very far, it wasn't even dusk by the time he got to his door.
You're back, Jack. I see you haven't got Milky White, so you've sold her? How much did you get for her?
You'll never guess, Mother.
How much? $5? 10? There's no way you got 20.
I told you you couldn't guess. What do you say to these beans? They're magical. Plant them overnight and...
What? Are you telling me you gave away my Milky White, the best milker in the whole parish, and prime beef to boot, for a set of paltry beans? How could you do such a thing? And as for your precious beans, here they go out the window, and now off to bed with you, and you can forget about your supper.
Jack was so upset he didn't even go into the house. He lay down near the barn and fell asleep, even though his belly was growling from missing supper. When he woke up, what do you think he saw? Why, the beans his mother had thrown out of the window had sprung up into a giant beanstalk, which went up and up and up. Jack climbed and he climbed and he climbed, till at last he reached the sky. And when he got there, he found a long straight road, which he walked along till he came to a great big tall house, and on the doorstep there was a great big tall woman.
Good morning. Could you be so kind as to give me some breakfast?
"It's breakfast you want, is it? It's breakfast you'll be if you don't move off from here. My husband is an ogre, and there's nothing he likes better than boys broiled on toast. You better be moving on, or he'll soon be coming."
Oh, please, give me something to eat. I have nothing to eat since yesterday morning.
Well, the ogre's wife wasn't so bad after all, so she took Jack into the kitchen and gave him a chunk of bread and cheese and a jug of milk. But Jack hadn't finished half of these when, thump, 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 the whole house began to tremble with the noise of someone coming.
"Goodness gracious me! It's my husband! What on earth shall I do? Here, come quick and jump in here!"
And she bundled Jack into the oven just as the ogre came in.
"Here's a cow I brought home for breakfast. Let's cook it up. What's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his bones to grind my bread."
"Nonsense, dear, you're dreaming. Or perhaps you smell the scraps of that little boy you liked so much for yesterday's dinner. Here, go and tidy up, and by the time you come back, your breakfast will be ready for you."
So the ogre went off, and Jack was just going to jump out of the oven and run off when the woman told him not to.
"Wait till he's asleep. He always has a snooze after breakfast."
Well, the ogre had his breakfast, and after that he went to a big chest and took a couple of bags of gold and sat down counting them till at last his head began to nod and he began to snore till the house shook again. Then Jack crept out on tiptoe, and as he went past the ogre he took one of the bags of gold under his arm and ran off till he came to the beanstalk. Then he threw down the bag of gold, which of course fell into his mother's garden, and then he climbed down till at last he got home and showed his mother the gold.
Well, Mother, wasn't I right about the beans? They really are magical.
So they lived on the bag of gold for some time, and at last they came to the end of that. So Jack made up his mind to try his luck once more at the top of the beanstalk. One fine morning he got up early. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed till at last he got to the road again and came to the great big tall house he had been to before. But this time he knew better than to go straight to the ogre's house, and when he got near it he waited behind a bush till he saw the ogre's wife come out with a pail to get some water, and then he crept into the house and hid under the table. He hadn't been there long when he heard thump, 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 as before, and in came the ogre and his wife.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. I smell him, wife, I smell him.
Do you, my dearie? Then if it's that little rogue that stole your gold, I bet he's hiding in the oven.
They both rushed to the oven, but Jack wasn't there.
There you are again with your fee-fi-fo-fum. You're smelling the boy you ate last night for dinner. Stop confusing yourself with thinking you smell Englishmen all the time.
So the ogre sat down to the breakfast and ate it, but every now and then he would mutter,
Well, I could have sworn.
and he'd get up and search everywhere, but luckily he didn't think to look under the table. And after the breakfast was over, the ogre called out,
Wife, bring me the hen that lays the golden eggs.
So she brought it, and the ogre said,
Lay me a golden egg.
and it laid an egg all of gold. And then the ogre began to nod his head and to snore till the house shook. Then Jack crept out from under the table, caught hold of the golden hen, and dashed away for the door. But the hen gave a cackle, which woke the ogre. And the ogre woke up just in time to see Jack running off with his chicken. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the ogre came rushing after. Jack disappeared down the beanstalk. The ogre didn't like the look of the beanstalk, but when he heard his chicken cry, "Quack, quack," and the ogre swung himself down onto the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. Down climbed Jack, and after him climbed the ogre. But this time Jack had climbed down and climbed down and climbed down until he was very nearly home, so he called out,
Mother! Mother! Bring me an axe! Bring me an axe!
and his mother came rushing out with the axe in her hand. But when she came to the beanstalk, she stood still with fright, for there she saw the ogre just coming down below the clouds. But Jack jumped down and got hold of the axe and started chopping at the beanstalk. The ogre felt the beanstalk shake and quiver, so he stopped to see what was the matter. Then Jack gave another chop with the axe, and the beanstalk snapped and began to topple over. Then the ogre fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came tumbling after. Then Jack showed his mother the magic chicken, and they became very rich from selling the golden eggs, and they lived happily ever after.